Living in Australia and being someone who's been very lucky enough to have travelled a fair bit in the past, I'm quite familiar with Changi Airport here in Singapore. But generally, I've always left Changi Airport to go into Singapore itself, or if I'm just transiting through here to get to somewhere else, I don't often have very much time here. But today is actually a little bit different because today I've got a little bit more time on my hands. You see, I've got in from a flight from Cambodia about an hour ago, and I don't have to leave Singapore until about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, which is why I've booked myself a room here at the Crowne Plaza. And I'm going to write a list of all the things that I've always wanted to experience here at Changi and see how many of them I can tick off in the next 24 hours. 40 metres or 130 feet tall. And if you think it's a popular attraction here in Changi Airport, you're absolutely right. Look at this. I do get it, it is very cool. Largest indoor waterfall in an airport, but also I think it's just flat out the largest indoor waterfall in the world. Awesome. Now I do appreciate this next one is probably aimed at the younger travellers out there. I'm probably not the target demographic for using this area of Changi Airport. Oh, you have to pay. Okay, how much? Standard. I very much feel like the only person over 10 years old in this area at the moment, but you know what? I don't care. I've seen this place so many times when I've come through Changi Airport and on YouTube videos where other people have been here before. So I'm glad I bought my ticket and I'm gonna release the inner 10-year-old within myself. That's what we want. Okay, I made it out to be a lot more difficult than it is. It's basically just like walking up a bit of a steep hill. Saying that, I can safely say this is the first time that I've ever walked across the roof of an airport terminal. See that round bit down there? If you look down there, you can see all the way to the ground floor of the Jewel. Don't get me wrong, it does cost money, and if you do have a family and you've got a few kids, it could get a bit expensive, but that's something I've wanted to do for a while, and am I glad I spent the money on it? Hell yes, jumping nets. There is a flight simulator experience here, but I'm not going to do it because it's probably going to be a little bit too expensive, and to be honest, I don't want to embarrass the team there. They're going to think I'm some kind of professional commercial pilot. So just had some bad news. The two things that I wanted to do in Terminal 3 are after security. And because I'm not travelling as a passenger, it's not like some airports elsewhere in the world, like some of our Australian airports where you can just walk through irrespective of whether you have a boarding pass or not. Here in Singapore, you can't do that. There's a butterfly garden here, which I thought would be quite cool, but there's also the biggest indoor slide in an airport. But again, it's past security and I can't get through there today because I'm not travelling. So the shape of the airport here, if you think about two long straight lines, and the Jewel complex is kind of like this big donut that sits at the top of them. And some of the things that I want to get to are actually in Terminal 2, where the hotel I'm staying in is in Terminal 3. So I have to walk all the way round to get there, or you can get the monorail, which is something that I want to do on my list. So I was walking to Terminal 2, and then I walked past this place, which is Din Tai Fung, and I knew that dumplings were on my list. think it looks like me? You think it does? It's similar. Virtual waterfall door. It's been about probably 2 hours since I started my list of things that I wanted to do around Changi Airport, and I've come to a conclusion which I already knew and I've known for many years now, which is I freaking love airports. I love everything about airports, not just really super modern fancy ones like Changi Airport, but I think in a very nerdy way I love airports, obviously because of aviation, but just because of all the systems. I love the little tiny systems that are in place in a place like this, like for example how your bag gets from bag check-in through to the aeroplane, off to another country and out, and hopefully normally 9 times out of 10 gets back to you in one piece. I like how the immigration systems work. I like how technology is coming in and improving the way that we move through airports, and as passengers it makes our life easier. I love the technology changes in aviation itself, the runway markings, the taxi markings. I don't know, there's something about airports and all of the IP that's gone into a place like this in the basically 100 years since we as a human race have learned how to fly, that I just am fascinated by every single time I'm in a place like this. Because honestly, I've said it, but I genuinely mean it when I say it, the airport, this really is my happy place. I need to get to Terminal 3 now from Terminal 2, which is where I am now, and my method of transportation of choice is actually another thing on my list. Sky train. Oh, there's one there. Hang on. So some nights, right, I like to go to sleep with ambient sound on, white noise. Last night in the hotel room, every kind of 90 seconds, you just get this burst of about 10 seconds of reverse thrust. And it was so relaxing. It's like a soothing lullaby of sounds for av geeks like us. Anyway, it's another humid morning here in Singapore. Before it gets too hot though, I'm gonna go for a quick run before I get on my next flight in about 4 hours time. I'm just gonna stop. Let me turn the camera around the other way, hang on. Yes! If you've ever wondered where your meals come from if you're flying out of Changi Airport, especially on Singapore Airlines, they're made in here, like huge kitchens inside this warehouse, and all the food is packed and then loaded onto the planes. I've been fortunate enough to have a look around here. I'll put a video link up here or down in the description to when I had a look around inside this Singapore Airlines, the training centre and their catering hub. Very cool. Made it to Terminal 4. That's 5.5 kilometres so far, and I've got to run the same to get back to the hotel. I really need to kind of wrap it up as well because I've only got about 3.5 hours until my flight, and it is an international flight. So back to the hotel, and then sadly leaving Changi Airport. I was lucky enough as a kid that my parents used to take me travelling quite a lot, and that principle of being curious and constantly moving has really stayed with me throughout my life until last year when, as a lot of you know, everything just kind of stopped for me. And that is why now in 2025, I'm really making a conscious effort to get myself moving again. Just keep moving. It doesn't matter how fast I go, it doesn't matter how far I go, as long as I'm moving. If I put one foot in front of the other foot, then I will be further forwards than I would have been had I stopped and given up. Talking of which, my time here in Changi Airport is done. I'm about to step on a flight to Macau now, but I think I did pretty well with my list.
On behalf of Canopy crew, welcome aboard Scoot Flight 904 from Singapore to Macau.